It all started when my father and I moved to a new town. The town was rumored to be haunted by a vengeful spirit of a murdered child. Then again, I was young, but I wasn't stupid. They said the only place that was truly safe was school, but that wasn't completely true. I found that out while trying to escape bullies. I hid in a closet only to find the body of a girl hanging from the ceiling. Running back out to the halls, I realized everything was dark. It was completely silent. Not a sound was murmured. I looked around me and shivered as I saw something move, only for a woman to appear. She was dressed in dark clothing, and her eyes were white. She walked towards me, her grin full of sharp teeth, but as she got closer her form blurred, and she now appeared to be wearing a hood and smiling gently. It frightened me. She offered me a candy, and I took it, then felt sleepy, and suddenly woke up in my own bed. Then I realized something was in my hand. I looked down, and saw the candy. Had it been all dream? It couldn't have been. Then how did I get this in my hand? My father called for me. When I got to the living room, I saw that he was drunk again. I felt his fist hit my eye and fell to the ground as he sneered at me. He was walking away, and suddenly I felt a rage rise, one that I had never acted on, but held back for years. I stood up, and he turned to me. I threw a small candy at him, and it landed in his mouth. He immediately fell to the ground and began to scream. I stepped back in shock. His body grew and changed. His screams turned to animalistic cries. Moments later, in his place lay a monster. It stood up and smiled at me. Fearful for my life, I ran. I ran outside, but as soon as I stepped on the ground, the sun seemed to flicker, and it turned to night. Once more the woman appeared to me. She offered me a hand, and I took it, unsure what to do. Then I had passed out. Soon enough, I found myself in a room, my head resting on her lap. I looked up and saw that she was resting as well, her eyes closed, her breathing steady. As I looked at her, she opened her eyes, revealing white irises with no pupils. She smiled at me, and I sat there. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. I sat on the bench during school. By now there were rumors spreading that I had killed my father. People had been looking for him for the past month. I watched as the two girls whispered about it. Then I saw the third member of their group run over. These girls have made my life hell since I moved here. As they were talking, an idea struck me. I had learned a few things since I began living with a woman in the woods. A smile crossed my face. I knew what I had to do. They would pay. I pulled out the 3 chocolates I had with me. Walking over, I offered them the candies. I knew they wouldn't be able to resist. Chocolate was their favorite. As they took them, I tried not to laugh. They would never know what hit them. As I walked away, I could tell one was suspicious, unsure as they had known that I was usually quiet and didn't associate with them. I flashed her a toothy grin as the world they knew faded away into darkness. I reappeared behind them, flashing my fangs and revealing my now inhuman nature. 2 of them ran, but the other was frozen in fear. I approached her silently, and she turned to me as her friends ran. She let out a scream as I slashed her eye, and then I went to hunt for the others. When I appeared, they were frozen in fear. Now they knew that there was no way to get out. It was no secret that these 2 hated one another, although they put on a fake face. I knew how I would make them pay. Their worst nightmare. What if they would become one? I walked over and let out a hiss, frightening one to fall into the other, and they froze, their faces a picture of terror as they began to fuse, becoming one person. But I ensured their minds remained separate. 2 separate consciences would be torturous. In a flash, the new girl was facing her green-eyed friend. They looked at one another and were shaken. I then appeared to them, my eyes closed. They looked in my direction, and I opened one eye, revealing a piercing gaze. They froze. I was their worst nightmare.